What does Marco Polo, Da Vinci, Beethoven, Darwin, and Einstein all have in common? They kept journals. Notice how there's hundreds of years between each of these figures, and yet all of them documented the things they learned and felt in life. And look at you. You probably think journaling's above you, don't you? And even if you're interested in it, you've probably never done it consistently. As for myself, I've journaled dedicatedly twice in my life so far. The first time was last summer. Basically, I had a 2.7 GPA, which is really bad. This is coming from somebody who had a perfect 4.0 in high school. Granted, yeah, engineering school is harder, but a 2.7 is gonna disappoint the fuck out of any Indian parent, let alone my own. It got to the point where I was failing my Calculus 2 class. Like, I needed a 99 on the final to pass, and that obviously didn't happen. So I ended up having to take it again over the summer, which understandably pissed me off. Like, we have to pay money and I have to sit through an entire class twice. What was even more frustrating was the fact that I had already signed up to take another class called Discrete Math over the summer to get it out of my way. It's not like a traditional math class. It more so goes over things like logic that you'd find in circuitry and computer programming. But the point is, it was still considered a really hard class. And now here I was, having to take both calculus and discrete in one summer. I quickly came to the realization that if I didn't change everything about how I was living, I was going to be royally fucked during my summer classes. I had no choice but to lock in. So I did. In every aspect. Me and my best friend went to the gym every single day without fail. We would start with stretching and then do calisthenics, then weights, then running, then swimming. It was like a workout regimen from hell, but I was locked the fuck in. And beyond fitness, I would also wake up first thing every morning. When the sun was rising, I would sit outside my backyard in the sunlight and meditate for 8 to 10 minutes. And that gave me a lot of mental clarity, which helped in the next thing I worked on, social skills. I went to quite a few parties last summer, and up until this point I was a sheltered brown kid, so you can imagine I've had very limited experience in that kind of environment. I got really good at talking to people, and I'd go as far as to say that I made more social progress that summer than in my entire life, to the point where it helped me in my classes. I took the initiative and reached out to my classmates, and I would always host study events, which served me well because I ended up passing both classes with high Bs. And during this whole time, the one significant habit that I was doing without fail to supplement everything else was journaling. But near the end of break, when I had achieved everything I wanted to and more, I started playing video games at night. It was still okay because I was getting everything else done, but it led to something creeping in my mind. I thought to myself, hey, you know what? I'm staying up a little late playing video games, so I might as well stop meditating because I should prioritize my sleep instead of waking up so early to sit in the sun. I can always get sun while I'm walking to class, and journaling is meditative enough. So then I stopped meditating, but I was still doing everything else, so it was okay. But the next thought I had was that I don't really need to journal, because that's just writing down the things I need to do when I can just do them. Why would I need to write things down? What do you think happened after that thought entered my mind? I fell off. The school year started and I stopped studying. Started skipping class. I ate way too much junk food. And worst of all, I stopped working out consistently. Of course, from time to time I would try to lock back in. I would go to the gym one day, but then I'd be too sore the next because I only slept for 3 hours, or I was too lazy to stretch and now my hamstrings are sore. I would eat clean, but then I started saying that as long as my calories didn't go past maintenance, I'd be fine, and I ended up eating a shit ton of candy bars. And I went from barely any screen time to doom scrolling to 3, 4 a.m. But you know the only thing I didn't do to try and fix my rut? Journaling. Until these past few days. And so far, I've been pretty consistent. But I asked this before, why does journaling matter for progress so much? Why can't we just do things? Because our brains are hardwired to only do things over and over again when we're obsessed. So you're never gonna lock in on journaling until it's the most interesting part of your day. In other words, to get into journaling, you need to first dopamine detox. But that's another video for another day. But once you start putting stuff on paper, you're acutely aware of what's going on in your life and what you need to get done. It makes you hyper-focused on today, instead of anxiously thinking about the past or the future. Or worst of all, distracting yourself with instant gratification and not thinking about anything. Now, it's inevitable you're gonna run into dickheads that have a lot to say about journaling. They're gonna say shit like, oh, it doesn't matter if you don't journal or do cold approaches or work out. You just achieve success by working on yourself and doing what you're passionate about. That's fucking awful advice. Imagine telling a businessman that's how he should run his company. Don't document things and don't optimize your chances. Of course, there's gonna be successful people who don't journal or don't take cold showers or don't work out. But if you're smart, why would you not try and maximize your chances of winning? Obviously, the return on investment on one thing varies a lot with something else. So you gotta choose wisely what aspects of your life you develop. But the thing that sets journaling apart from cold showers is that it literally builds the pathway you need to succeed in front of you. If you're an ambitious guy, there's only one rule of thumb you need to live by to succeed. Think and act. Don't overthink and don't overact. Overthinking is anxiety. You get caught up in the what ifs and how comes, and you end up not taking action because of irrational fear. On the other end of the spectrum is overacting. Some people are fucking stupid, and they leap before they look. Their decisions are rooted in low-level thoughts and emotion. This is a path straight to doing the easy thing that makes you feel happy now, but very miserable for a long time after. Journaling is what helps you process your thoughts and deal with anxiety. I watched a Hamza video the other day, and he used a good example about random access memory in computers. So this is gonna hit pretty close to home to all you fucking programming nerds listening along. Basically, the analogy goes like, the intrusive, anxious thoughts you have during the day are like applications on a computer's random access memory. The computer is constantly running with a limited amount of storage space to account for these things. But you could save something onto the computer's hard drive, which is the equivalent of writing your thoughts down. Once it's saved to the hard drive, the random access memory doesn't have to work on running that application anymore, and it can move on to focusing its efforts on other things. Just like how your mind can move on to focusing on more important stuff. And all the anxious thoughts you've had are still there. You know, it's saved to your hard drive, and you can access it when you want. But now that you've packaged it neatly, you're not constantly worrying about it anymore. So basically, you're not going to be overthinking, and you're also not going to be overacting. Because if you journal, you'll be writing down what's going well in your life, what could go better, and what you should do to make it go better. You're giving yourself direction, and that plan to act makes all the difference. Because instead of doing stupid shit that you'll regret later, you've got a game plan. And you don't have to overthink it, because it's already on paper. So the actionable step I want you to do would be to right now, grab a pen, grab a paper, grab a notebook, and start journaling. Just for like 5 minutes today, and try and keep it consistent for 1 week. And if you don't know how, I'll be making another video about that really soon. Shameless plug. But that's all I have for you. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.